Well, hello there. I'm Craig Hemingway from the City of Moose Jaw, Communications Manager, and this is the very first Notorious Jawcast video version. We've done this in podcast form, audio form before, but much like everybody's doing in the time of COVID-19, we're doing a lot more video meetings, and we thought this would be a fantastic opportunity to take the Jawcast to video form because we wanted to allow you to meet members of our business community and others from City Hall on Economic Development Week. The mayor made the proclamation earlier this week that it is Economic Development Week, May 3rd to 9th, and we know that there have been many challenges for our business community throughout COVID-19, and we wanted, as we said, to introduce you to those folks and hear what they've been going through, and no doubt many of these people you've met before and have seen them in the community. So, without further ado, I'm going to do some quick introductions, and then we'll hear from our guests and ask a number of questions as we continue to go through. So, yes, we do have Moose Jaw Mayor Fraser Tolmie here. We've got the City of Moose Jaw Manager of Economic Development, Jim Dixon. We've got City of Moose Jaw Council Support and Economic Development Support Person, Maureen Latta, with us today. And, Maureen actually is a great example of we have so many people at City Hall who nobody knows, or most people don't know. They're smart, they're educated, they contribute so much, but nobody hears about them. And Maureen's a great example of somebody who fills that role and has been helping Jim Dixon and the economic development team in many, many ways. So we thank Maureen for being here with us as well. Rob Clark, CEO of the Moose Jaw District Chamber of Commerce. From our business community, Jeff Anderson, the general manager at the Moose Jaw Co-op. Joel Pinnell and Ashley Drummond from Wow Factor Media, Christine Keck from Cranberry Collective, and Kim White from Four Plants Indoor Gardening Supply. So it's a big crew, only four of which at any one time I think you can see on the screen, but everybody will be rotating through. So we thank you for being with us, and we're going to start things and have Moose Jaw Mayor Fraser Tolmie just say a couple words about Economic Development Week and the crew we have with us here today.
Thank you, Craig. And I'd like to also thank Craig, Jim, and Maureen for being able to pull this together. Normally, we would be out kind of walking up and down Main Street and visiting businesses throughout our community. But unfortunately, due to this COVID-19 pandemic, we're unable to do that. One of the benefits that you guys get to witness is my 1986 haircut that I had. This is probably the longest I've had my hair since that time, and it's kind of one of those humbling moments when you're looking into the screen and you see yourself back and you're going, I don't really like what I see there. So please forgive me for my appearance, but I do want to say a couple of things, and I want to say how important small businesses are in our community, and we realize the risk that you take when you venture out to open up a business, and the things that come along with that, the overhead, buying stock, a dream that you have, and then hiring on people and taking on that responsibility, and that generates, and one of the biggest contributors to our economy is the consumer. And so with that, you have to be mindful of the people that you're serving, and the heart and soul of a business, small business in our community is about building relationships. And so it is challenging with these times that we're going through, not being able to do that one-on-one. But I really have to say we have prepared ourselves through group meetings and things like that to be able to reach out to people and provide a service in a different way. So I would like to say thank you very much for what you're doing, and I really appreciate your passion for the business that you own, and for the passion that you have to the clientele within our community. And so thanks for giving me this opportunity to meet with you through this virtual means. And please know that I do take normally Wednesday afternoons off during the week to go out and visit businesses within our community, stopping in. And so I'm kind of grateful that we're able to do it in this way. So I appreciate what you're doing, and we just really do think about you, and we're making plans within our budget process to accommodate small businesses and try and help you guys weather the storm. So we want to make sure that you're staying safe. So thanks for this time to be able to reach out to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I think we didn't hear anything after you said I take every Wednesday afternoon off. There will be some who will take you out of context on that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you finished that thought. Jim Dixon is the manager of economic development for the city of Moose Jaw, and this is kind of his week, economic development week. And the economic development manager in different municipalities fulfill different roles. So, Jim, I'll have you explain briefly the role you fulfill here with the city of Moose Jaw.
Okay, thanks, Craig. And I'll vouch for his worship, Mayor Fraser, because I have gone out and done some business visits with him on lots of occasions. So we do that. And a big part of Economic Development Week is really kind of drawing awareness to how important economic development is in your community, but also what economic developers do. And we're really fortunate in the city that we have an ECDev team, a leadership team at City Hall, and we've got some great support lately with Craig and Maureen, and really that's all important. That's what it's all about. So engaging with the community, business community particularly, is a big focus of economic development through business retention expansion, and we are doing that right now. We're through the leadership of the chamber, we've done a lot of key critical engagement at this it's a crisis time. And so that is really awesome, and that the creativity of the business community is rising because of the situation, but also within City Hall and how we're becoming creative as well to do what we can to support and help business. So I'm not going to say a whole bunch more other than, yes, it's a celebration. Monday was Indigenous Economic Development Day in the province, and we are doing various activities throughout the week, and respecting the situation. Now we're doing this virtual talk, which again was a creative idea between Craig, Maureen, and I, and so I think this is really a good opportunity to have some dialogue, and we hope that lots of people get an opportunity to see this and see what's being done. And I thank the participants for taking the time and participating, because it's valuable and critical that they be heard. So thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And I know Maureen, she said where she is today working from home. She's got a lot of loud stuff going on outside. But Maureen, if you want to just pop on and say hi, introduce yourself so we can get to know you, that'd be great, wherever you are.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's quieted down for a couple seconds. So good afternoon. Good to see you all.
Well, thanks for doing that, Maureen. And again, thanks for everything you've been doing to help the team here over the last number of months, actually. So it's been great. Longer than that, actually. Rob Clark is the CEO of the Moose Jaw District Chamber of Commerce, and one of the first to jump into action mid-March, once all the COVID-19 restrictions really became real in our community and others, and began the think tank discussions over video chat. So Rob, if I could just have you speak briefly to that, and again, thanks for setting those up. So I'll throw it to you. Rob? We'll come back to Rob. How about that? We'll move on to members of our business community who we thank for being here with us. And we know everybody's experiences are different, from some being labeled non-essential to others being labeled essential services, and the differences those bring. And I can think of fewer people that have been under the gun more than those operating grocery stores to have stock and change their operations. And so Jeff Anderson, General Manager of the Moose Jaw Co-op. Jeff, thanks for joining us here today.
I wonder if we have some people on mute, Craig.
Possibly. Jeff, if you're able to take yourself off mute.
Thanks, Joel. That was a nice way of saying you got your mute button on, Jeff. Next time, just be like, unmute your phone, Jeff. Okay, so I'll go back onto my soapbox speech here for a second. So yes, I thanks for the opportunity today to speak to all of you. You know, certainly being an essential service certainly has posed some challenges from a safety and wellness standpoint for our members and our employees. So it's a little bit different certainly than the revenue downturn we've seen with some of our local businesses, communities, and I couldn't imagine, you know, my wife works for one of those local business communities that, you know, has seen, you know, revenue declines of well over 50 to 60%. So certainly that hasn't been the case with the co-op. Our challenges have been more so on the safety side. So certainly putting those measures in place to keep our members and our employees safe. And we typically meet, you know, my senior leadership team meets every week. We met this morning. We review our emergency response plan. We change it weekly. We're constantly updating a living document so that certainly when this pandemic nonsense is over, we'll have a plan in place. And I'm sure all of you would agree that human beings typically don't learn anything from history. That's why we keep repeating these things. So I'm going to make the attempt at being the outsider here, and hopefully we'll have a plan that maybe will be adopted down the road. And certainly we have a lot of really smarter people than me with eyes on this. So, you know, it's been certainly a challenge. You know, if I can speak to just kind of what we're looking at currently in the community of Moose Jaw is just getting that message out there to our team members and to our leadership team just about travel. We're going into May long here in about a week and a half, and I know for a fact people are going to be traveling, whether we like it or not. So I can't prevent them from traveling, but I'm certainly going to try and put some recommendations, some guidelines in place for our team to follow, not to mention if they are taking that plunge and going and visiting family over the long weekend and or friends, that they're really practicing social distancing. My biggest fear is one of my employees is going to bring COVID back, whether that be from the north or whether that be from the east or west. So, and I certainly don't want to be the one that didn't provide the due diligence or the recommendation for them to follow safe measures. So I guess I'll throw that back to you, Craig. I don't know if that's something the city is planning as well, as to do some advertising just to keep our community safe, and maybe that's to Jim or Fraser regarding that. But I'd be interested to know. I know we're planning on doing something as far as communication internally, but it might be something as a suggestion as what are we doing externally to keep our community safe?
That's a great question, Jeff. And, you know, we have had ongoing messaging from Mayor Tolmie that we've put out in regards to, you know, as things have progressed, the message at the end has always been, you still need to be vigilant. I mean, we haven't solved anything yet. Yes, things are evolving and changing. And I think the most recent message we have out from Mayor Tolmie is that, you know, yes, the Reopen Saskatchewan plan it's begun as we slowly move into the next phase. But, you know, we still have to adhere to everything we're being asked to adhere to. But that's an excellent point and worthwhile looking to doing even more of that, especially as you mentioned, leading into the May long weekend. I have one question just about related to that. Of course, the Reopen Saskatchewan plan was announced a couple weeks back, a little more than that. Anecdotally, noticed that lines at the grocery stores in the weekends seemed less busy in the subsequent weekends. It seemed crazy, you know, a few weeks ago, and then but about last couple weekends have noticed that it's tapered off a little bit. Is that something you've noticed, and is that
Yes.
maybe you think it's related to all of this?
Yes. So thanks, Craig. Good question. What we have noticed is certainly those kind of hot button items that people were picking up in mass display, mass quantities like toilet paper, hand soap, things that we're really struggling to get into our store. People have somewhat relaxed on that. We're still seeing some pretty phenomenal increases in our food stores. I mean, our gas bars, we're seeing a decline of about 50 to 60% on from what a typical year would look like, because people aren't traveling. But certainly in talking to our food team this morning, and it makes sense to me, is that people just aren't eating out as much as they used to. They're not traveling as much as they used to. They're not going and visiting family outside the province or outside the community. So As nice as it is to have the influx of sales, I feel a lot of our increased revenue. Certainly, there was the panic in the beginning of the pandemic, but I think now it's just people are cooking more at home, and I think once we get back to a state of normalcy, I do believe that revenue will probably go back to more of a normal level. We're enjoying the increase in sales because that certainly that diversification is helping the decline we've seen in our gas bars. But that's as good as explanation as I can give you. It's just people are staying at home, baking. We can't seem to keep flour on the shelves because everybody wants to be Betty Crocker at home, which is great. But yeah, eventually we want to give those sales back to our local restaurants as well. And I think over time, that revenue shift will happen. So.
Okay. Well, Jeff Anderson from the Co-op, thank you. We'll be touching basically again on this call before long. So right now, though, we're going to move on to Joel Pinnell and Ashley Drummond from Wow Factor Media. And Joel's been showing off, walking around, finding a more outdoor locale to join us from. So I'll ask him and Ashley to unmute their mics and say good afternoon to us.
Hey guys, yeah, I because of what's going on, we've got kids at home, and they were outside, but then it was too hot for them to be outside, so then I moved outside, and I lost connection on my laptop, so I had to go in to get my phone, and then I was in the sun, and it was too hot in the sun, so now I'm in the shade. So that's why you see me moving around.
Working from home problems, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we thank you both for joining us, Joel and Ashley. And one great success, and I know you worked closely with the Chamber of Commerce on the think tank sessions and provided a lot of support through social media with Facebook pages, No Business Left Behind, and then coming up with Ding Dong Ditch Day a couple weeks ago. And that was just a tremendous success. So briefly go over what kind of success that was.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've heard about 1,500 deliveries from the day, which I think a light estimate would be about $20 a delivery. And I would think that there was probably more than 1,500. Like that's actual numbers that businesses relayed back to us. So it was a really good jolt for everyone that day. And we're planning other things right now to help. We've what we do as a marketing company, we feel like we have a really big skill set right now that we can help everyone out with. And I think I've mentioned this before on one of the other podcasts, Craig. We said when this all happened, our number one goal over everything else was let's help all businesses stay in business, no matter what that looks like. If it's discounted services, if it's free services, free advice, it doesn't really matter. So that's where our whole team's mindset has been. I think it's helped. I mean, even if it's just a drop in the bucket, if all those drops add up from all the other areas, then we can make a real impact. And our goal was from Ding Dong Ditch Day is to give people some runway until we get more clarity on this. And we heard people paid rent. People were able to keep their lights on. So that's exactly what it was. And it meant a lot to us too as a business. We felt really good about it. And of course, like it's just not Wow Factor Media. Like we were working really closely with Rob at the Chamber. And then we had a little committee outside of that. Jared Robinson, Marta Woodrow, Jessica McNaughton, Ashley, myself, and we met a lot of times kind of behind camera and planned and get it done. So it was a big team effort, but it was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was great. And for those that don't know, Ding Dong Ditch Day was a day to buy a gift card from a local business and then ring somebody's doorbell, leave it on their doorstep behind. So again, a wonderful way to make a lot of people happy. And actually, I guess further on the marketing side of things, what have you noticed in terms of what the messaging that people are wanting to get out over the last several weeks? I suspect somewhat different than previous to COVID-19, correct?
Yeah, it just seems like everybody's getting creative on ways to sell and getting their stuff out there online. I know that a lot of people have felt overwhelmed because they thought, oh, I don't have an e-commerce store, or my customers don't know what I have to offer. So our job has been just to facilitate like calming those nerves and being like, okay, start here. Start with a goal, set up your Facebook store. It's really simple. Get your Google My Business running. All these little tools that seem overwhelming, but we've been able to help people just go through it step by step so that like they can tackle one thing at a time to save their business, and it's working really nice.
Fantastic. Moving on to Christine Keck from Cranberry Collective, clothing accessories here in Moose Jaw. And Christine, challenging for you. We talked with Jeff, grocery stores, an essential service, clothing stores, not so much. I guess take us through. That's probably a tough thing to hear. You're not an essential service. How did you react to that, and what steps have you taken to combat that?
Yeah, it's been a challenge. I'm not going to lie. Our doors have been closed for 7 weeks. So, talking about the people with drop in revenues, yeah, over here, we're one of those people. And, we sell everything from casual clothing to formal wear, but I think what we're known for mostly is formal wear. And people aren't, weddings have been postponed. People aren't going to parties. So that's a huge source of our revenue just gone. So I've just tried to pivot in any way that I can in the last 7 weeks, just to come up with any source of revenue to try to pay the bills. Yeah,
for sure. And certainly, as we just heard Joel and Ashley talk about social media, was that an area you explored much before this hit, and what have you done, I guess, in that vein this year to try and encourage online shopping and just to and go find a different audience?
Yeah, social media has been huge. We were on social media before, but it definitely wasn't as imperative to our business as it is right now. I've been making weekly videos, which was a very uncomfortable thing for me to do at first, but just kind of had to jump into that just to let people know what's going on with the store, how you can still shop. We were lucky enough to have an online store. We had launched it in January, so it seems like it was kind of just in time for this to hit. So that's been a way to get some sales. But yeah, social media has been it's quite a beast to kind of understand, but it's somebody's joyriding down Main Street there.
I can hear them outside my window too. We're so close.
Yeah. Sorry. Social media, it's been one of the things that has really helped us throughout this whole thing.
Oh, that's tremendous. And like you said, it's interesting, right? When you're put in these positions of things that it's uncomfortable, but you have to look for solutions. And this is the time where people take those uncomfortable steps, is in times of crisis, right?
Yeah, you kind of got to push your limits a little bit.
Kim White from Four Plants Indoor Gardening Supply. Kim, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Indoor gardening supply. You sell supplies so people can grow things indoors. I guess there's a couple things there. Certainly at a time of self-isolation where people are being told to stay indoors, has that made any difference to the interest in people wanting to shop at a store like yours, even though you've had to adjust how people can actually get your supplies?
Yeah, for sure. I find myself very fortunate to be in the business community in Moose Jaw. The small town feel that we have is amazing. The social media support, the push from the community to shop local. We've seen no decrease in sales, but we've had to do those difficult changes in adjusting how we're doing business, which puts a lot more work on my plate, keeping up to, online, email, phone orders continuously throughout my day. But yeah, we've been doing really well, and I think there's been a big push for growing your own food. Seeds across Canada are being sold out, so it's not a terrible time for us. And looking into the summer and not knowing, if you're going to be able to go camping, because camping's down, people are wanting to do more in their yards and more in their gardens. So like I said, I just feel really fortunate to be in Moose Jaw. The small town field thing that we have going on right now with all of this Wow Factor media push and everything else, we have to keep that going. We can't forget about that after this is over. That's something that I feel is going to be huge from this point forward. And I think the future is going to look more bright with more deliveries and more curbside pickups. We're going to see a new normal. So, yeah.
Well, no. That's an excellent point. Thanks, Kim. Rob Clark, if you can unmute your mic, we'll come back to you to talk about the success of the think tank sessions that the Moose Jaw District Chamber of Commerce begun several weeks ago and the form they've taken.
Okay, there we go. You have to double click it on here to get unmuted. Sorry about that last time. So anyway, just about the think tank, again, back to Joel's point, everybody's point, the importance of the business community and keeping it moving forward. So quickly, I was thinking about it. Joe called me, and we just the rest is history. And you know, we got some people. He talked about Ashley, Jessica, Jared Robinson. We got KPMG on there, and they're all sharing the news. And everybody on the call, and we've basically been probably averaging over 40 on the calls every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Very resilient, very innovative, very creative, very passionate about it. Everybody's helping one another out. It's been an amazing feel. Very proud of the positive direction that it has taken with all the business people. It has been it's been a good ride in a bad a bad storm. But anyway, now we're moving on to the reopening, and again they're all excited about meeting up to the customers again and making things happen. So they have been it's absolutely awesome watching these people perform in businesses and as part of the think tank.
And probably important to note that you don't have to be a chamber member to get looped in. They can just give you guys a shout to get on that email list, right?
Yeah, I want to say probably from day one, we were probably taking a couple hundred calls, emails a week, and that's been going on up till this last little week here. And chamber members, non-members, we were helping anybody out that we could. And again, it was a group. Everybody in the group helped out through the think tank, and we didn't push anybody aside. Everybody was inclusive.
Terrific. Well, listen, some wonderful comments from everybody, and we're going to go around the horn again with a final question, and we'll just ask people to share one quick success or something that's really made you feel positive and hopeful for the future. So we'll start back where we began with Moose Jaw Mayor Fraser Tolmie.
Well, I'm sitting here and this is probably a little bit more how I would say probably intimate compared to some of the other Zoom calls and things that I've been on, and I just hearing the passion of our local businesses and how close we are. I think about Christine, like I'm hearing this car going down the drag strip here. I think we've got a new motorway, and we are close, and our strength is in our unity. And I think that's one of the qualities that we have as a community. And I see that in everything that we're doing. And so, I'm sorry that we're going through these challenges. It's not something that we can control, but it's how we're reacting to them is what astonishes me. So thank you for giving me encouragement when I hear the testimonies of what you're doing in your business to make it and to survive. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Tolmie. Jim Dixon.
There we go. A little slow on the draw there. There's so many things that, it's hard to name a couple, but I think the engagement and not just with the city engaging with the business community, which is critical, but also businesses engaging with one another. And I think that's really been great. And I'll mention it, the leadership, the chamber and Rob and Joel and all have done for that has been terrific. The second piece is really the creativity and innovation that's coming out of all of this. And, it's just, when you're having to be out of your comfort zone, you get creative in order to survive. And I think that creativity and innovation is really spectacular, and that it's going to really play a role moving forward as we emerge out of this and recover from it in terms of the opportunities and businesses being stronger as they move forward. So I think that's kind of it for me.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Maureen Latta, if you're still with us and nobody's banging outside your window, everything you want to share?
I've been really pleased and impressed with the flexibility that I've experienced personally, businesses showing, just their flexibility and kindness. If I messenger a business and say, would you be willing to do this? Something that's kind of outside the box, something I'd asked for a friend's birthday, whether they would do. And immediately they messaged back, yes, they'll do it, and organized it all in a, couple of minutes. And so, yeah, there's a lot of flexibility happening, which is part of that too, I think, but it's also kind of a kindness that I'm feeling.
Terrific. Rob Clark. Unmute your mic there, sir.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
So anyway, what sort of, I guess, what makes me happy about it all is just the think tank, how everybody's stayed involved with it. They've stayed engaged. They come in and out, but they always leave there feeling pretty good. And yeah, the creativity, the innovation, the passion, just everything that is happening has been absolutely amazing and probably over the top. And the businesses, as Christine mentioned there, they're all pivoting in the right directions. They're all going, and it's funny how something like this makes you rethink the way you do business. And speaking of that, new business, so there is going to be a new normal. That's going to be online. That's going to be a bunch of other things to be happening. So I'm going to just bring this up, give me an opportunity. So Doug Griffith, he's a chief community builder. He's going to be on our think tank call on Wednesday, May 13th at 9:30. And he has bringing a guest along, Heather Thomas, who works with his 13 Ways group. And she is executive director of the School of Retail at the University of Alberta. So you're going to have a couple dynamite speakers on there, 9:30 Wednesday on May 13th. So everybody is jumping in to support the businesses. And to Fraser's point, they are a major part of the economy here.
That's terrific news, Rob. And thank you for saving that news to debut on this show, which will no doubt we'll tease it and drive viewership through the roof.
And I did it. And
Doug Griffiths.
I did it unmuted.
Yeah, perfect. That's right. Jeff Anderson.
Well, there's a lot of positives with, what's kind of come up with this virus. I mean, certainly people are having more sit-down family suppers with their families. On a personal side, people are going for more walks. They're spending more time, intimately outside and doing, less of watching TV and more of actually just spending time together because we are social animals and we want that social interaction. That being said, I mean, Moose Jaw has been a community I've wanted to live in a long time and didn't really fully understand why until probably when this virus started. Well, actually, it started before then, but I can tell you I haven't seen a business community, the members of this community come together and just want to help each other. And in the spirit of that, I know we have Ashley and Christine and maybe a few others on the call. I like, some of the comments. I think Rob and Jim and Fraser talked about innovation, changing how we do things for the future. And part of that is the technology that we're working on, social media. We're fairly, we're not the biggest company in the community, but we're certainly, we got a lot of people working for us and a lot of locations. And it might give us a little bit more of an ability to help some of those local businesses. I know last year, our marketing manager, Michaela, put together a Good Neighbor Giveaway kind of program where we were kind of showcasing local businesses, and it was a great initiative. But if there's a way that we could maybe showcase some of the products, Ashley, I remember you talking a little bit about your clothing line and that. I don't know where the heck we display it or how we'd sell it, but let's get on a call and come up with a plan on how we can start working with your company to get your products sold. And same with Christine, and I'm sorry I'm not seeing some of the other names there, but I did send my email address there on the meeting chat. If you do want to get a hold of me and have a discussion on how we can work together to promote your business, I'd sure love to hear from you.
That's terrific. Thank you so much for that, Jeff. That's awesome. We'll move on to Joel Pinnell.
Yeah, so I'd like to kind of echo what Jeff was saying there about people eating at home more. That's been a nice touch. We all live such a fast-paced life. I've really enjoyed kind of getting back to traditions and basics on that front. And then from a business standpoint, we're so resilient here in Saskatchewan. And when this kind of first went down, and first of all, nobody saw this coming, so there's no plans in place. And my sister Ashley sent me the song, when the going gets tough, the tough get going, or however that goes. And that's just shows exactly what Saskatchewan's all about. We're very much like fix it with duct tape, roll up your sleeves. Like what's good for us is good for our neighbors and all that. And it's just come through in strides. And to me, it's like extremely motivating. We chose to come back to Saskatchewan and Moose Jaw to start our business over 10 years ago now. And it just makes me really proud to be here and see how everyone's been more tight knit. I've created like close friendship through this, which is unreal. And I think if we can handle this, which I feel, knock on wood, we're doing a very good job at it. They're like, bring it on. Like, we can handle anything. And like all you guys said, we're going to come out of this more successful. So.
Thanks so much, Joel. And you know, anytime you can work Billy Ocean into a conversation, you know, it's been a success. Ashley Drummond.
I didn't even know who sang it.
At least he didn't say lover boy.
That is a good song, theme song for the times. I would like to say that the best thing that I've seen out of this is Rob Clark. And I'm not just saying that. Like, I work with business leaders across Saskatchewan every single day, and nobody has hustled like this man has. So I just can't thank Rob enough.
All right. Thanks so much, Ashley.
That's what I wanted to say too.
We could all use a little more Rob Clark in our lives. Christine Keck, Cranberry Collective.
Okay, I kind of have a two-part answer to this. I do want to echo what a few other people said, and just the way this community has come to, sorry, I get emotional when I talk about this, but the way this community has come together has been absolutely amazing. I'm new to Moose Jaw. I've been here about a year, but just the way businesses are connecting with other businesses, and, you know, media agencies like Wow Factor and the Chamber has been like a phenomenal through this whole thing. And even being able to connect with our customers on a whole new level has just been such a positive experience. And then the other thing, just on a more personal business level, one successful thing that I think that we've done is we sold mystery boxes last month. And we, you know, we're a clothing store, but it's one of those examples of pivoting, and $10 from each box went to the Humane Society. And the idea actually came to me during a think tank with the Chamber, and people were talking about how really people just want to help other people right now. And I did too. So it's just something that we were able to do as a business to kind of help us get through this, help the Humane Society, and just bring some joy to other people's lives as well. And I want to, you know, channel that going forward.
That's awesome and well put. And I think you captured it there, really, why those programs have been successful. People still want to shop. You know, they miss going out to shop for sure. And you're right, they want to help other people. Times are a little tougher. It's difficult to make a straight donation somewhere. But if you can combine those two things, right, find creative ways, I think that's another great example of that. So thank you for that, Christine. And Kim White. The mic is yours.
Okay, so for success in this whole pandemic, definitely in the engagement with the business community on Think Tank, Rob pushing and making me do things even if I didn't say yes, such as this, and just being involved with the community and the other business owners and getting that motivation going together has just been amazing. The other thing I want to touch base on is my business is built around personal relationships from the first day I opened the store. And without that, you know, I wouldn't have seen as much traffic throughout this pandemic. So the support from the local community is just amazing. And I think also doing deliveries was something, you know, I would have always done, but to promote it has opened up a whole new outlook on business for me, because Amazon delivers to your door for a reason. People don't want to go to the store. So I think that's going to be big business. So the success of those deliveries alone has just been huge for us. So yeah, just a big thank you to the business community for all pulling together and doing this together, and we will get through it together too. So thank you.
All right, well put, Kim. Well put, everybody. Thanks again to Mayor Fraser Tolmie, Jim Dixon, Manager of Economic Development, Maureen Lauda, Council Support, ECDev Support at the City, Rob Clark from the Chamber, Jeff Anderson, GM at the Moose Jaw Co-op, Joel Pinnell, Ashley Drummond from Wow Factor, Christine Keck from Cranberry Collective, and Kim White from Poor Plants Indoor Gardening Supply. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for what you've done and your positivity and your strength through this time. And I guess I'll just close by echoing something Jeff brought up earlier, and just with a suggestion about further ways that we as a city can get messaging out and what we should be messaging. And I'll just encourage everybody, if you've got those thoughts, to let us know. Email me. My email is there. chemingway@moosejaw.ca. If you think there's an area where we're not quite hitting hard enough, information that needs to get out there, by all means, let us know. We try and do what we think should be done, but we don't always hit that mark. So tell us if we're not, and we'll do what we can to fix that. So thank you all for doing this. First
Thanks,
time ever.
Greg.
We may do it again sometime. We appreciate your cooperation.
Awesome. Thank
Stay
you.
safe,
Thank you.
everybody.